Hey, so I asked for 72 hours to try and figure out the life I want to work towards. How did that go? Well, let's get into it. So initially, what I envisioned when I asked for 72 hours was that I was going to figure out a calendar of sorts where it's like April 26th, do this or turn that in, April 27th, leave here or start this. However, doing the thing, it was more the way I envisioned it was, well, not the way I envisioned it, the way it ended up turning out was more so a monthly schedule up until August, and then from there I jumped into a distant future of like, okay, what do I want to have by let's say like when I'm 25, 30 years old. So yeah, okay, so for example, to kind of give a brief overview, something like April would look like, okay, I want to do a Falcon Speaks film festival thing. I want to do the ASA soccer match. I want to do the ASA elections, more Falcon Speaks talks, and then I want to end Project Phillips. It's been a great journey. However, especially in doing this, now I've realized that I've kind of done all the stuff I've set out to do. The only thing that was left was really the game, which I'm just going to continue working on, and I'll touch a bit more on as we go through the schedule. Not schedule, the future journal, I guess. But yeah, it's been an amazing journey with Project Phillips. However, I don't want to continue dragging on. I think the main goal of Project Phillips really was that I would get to somewhere where it would force people to question, is what he did possible? And then through the project, you see that it's very much possible. So I think I've given you enough of my life. I've shown enough of my life achievements and struggles to show that wherever I end up is possible. So I'm fine and then project. The real reason, not the real reason, but like a large factor has been creating the montage is this might be a big montage scene, and that's been the biggest trouble, and it's just I'm a bit lazy to do that. So that's kind of why we're here. And then it's like you have to create an episode every day. So what if you don't finish on if I don't finish tomorrow, then I have to create an episode for that day. You have to get the montage for that episode. So it's a whole thing. But yeah. And then in May I wanna have an ASA gala dinner. I wanna do some basically for my coding students, there's some projects I want them to turn in by May, so I can give them a full evaluation before I depart from them. Give me a second. But yeah, there's a project I want. There is some project I want to see from now on, see if I can utilize them. There, gosh, sorry, I just got a text message. So the project, I think I've already talked about it, but if I haven't, the projects are more so tailored towards their interest. So the real goal with the projects is to get them as invested in code as possible through their own lens of creativity. And then through that, once I leave from them, they will continue to pursue it in whatever means possible. So it could either be being a UI designer or coding games, coding apps, maybe even cybersecurity. So I'm excited to see where they go. I definitely think I don't know, I would like one of them to take the AI route because that's something I wish I explored more when I was younger. Okay. So yeah, so I want them to do a code. I'm going to do a couple of big tests just to evaluate where they are and where they can improve. And I'm going to take the results from that test and move on to the next thing in the next month. But yeah, so in May, there's a couple stuff. I want to give my teachers a parting gift. Every year, a tradition I've had as a student is always to give the teachers that taught me that year a gift. Junior year, I kind of messed up and didn't really give them gifts, so I have to give my junior year teachers gifts as long as I have to give them gifts along with my senior year teachers. But beyond those gifts, I actually want to give like a proper parting gift, one that only I can give and not just get in some store. So it's going to be my own version of a senior prank, which I still have to figure out. But yeah, and at the end of May, I want to also give my friends in school a parting gift. I don't know, I think that'll be a fun. I have no idea what it's going to be. It could be something like Monsieur Valentine, but I want to stretch myself out a bit more and, see what limitations I can pass and figure out what I can do for a parting gift. But I think it's going to be really awesome. So we'll see how it goes. In June, I have a vacation plan, which I'm really excited for. So we have the vacation, and I also want to start the kids summer camp in June. Not summer camp. I want to start the kids coding slash AI program in June, as well as start working with the senior facility to teach senior citizens about keeping up with technologies and how to use them. And then from there, I also want to see how I can make technology more accessible towards them. But yeah, to delve into the reasons for that senior one. I'm trying to find the right words. Over the past couple of years, I feel like I've said that sentence. I've said that phrase a lot in doing this project. But over the past couple of years, one thing I've experienced is like just helping different people who are quite young, in my opinion, with technology, right? And it's not that there's an aspect where I think it could be made more accessible. So like a thing I have is that stuff like BlackBerry phones, like with the buttons, may be easier for people who have, for more elderly people who maybe have visual impairments. But I don't think that's necessary too. So that's one thing I want to gain with this senior facility partnership, where I can actually gain the proper experience. But yeah, June I also want to do the quantum tour. So working on doing a UMD quantum lab tour with the SciPad team. But another thing I might do is actually, but I think it's too much paperwork. But one thing I might do is try taking the students from my kids coding program there. But I think that's too much paperwork. I think the kids coding program is going to be more international and virtual, so it's going to be harder to do that. So I think I'm just going to stick with my Cyber Patriot team, which is a cybersecurity team. And the reason it's called Cyber Patriot is because we participate in this National Cyber Patriot tournament. Okay. Then July, I've talked a lot about research. And one thing I definitely want to involve myself more in terms of research is how to make coding more accessible to those on the autism spectrum. With the sports theory, I had to do a bit of research on the brain, how our brains work, and it's opened my curiosity towards how our brains take in information, right? So one thing I believe is that I think it would be more interesting to see coding be okay, let me take a step back. Entering coding, there's this imposter syndrome, right? And one thing I've learned is that coding is really for everyone. Now, whether or not you want to take that up, it's up to you. However, I don't know, I don't want to say it's my life work, but one thing I want to make sure I always do is make sure to show that anything can be for everyone, right? So I want to increase the accessibility towards of coding towards those on the autism spectrum. So during July, I want to invest more research into figuring out how to make that more accessible. I think just changing the user interface might be the best solution. An idea I originally had was basically to create another programming language, but then it would honestly be based on how autism works. I have to do more research. And as I'm moving towards university, I was thinking if I could actually work with a professor and see how that goes. But yeah, okay. Moving on into July is give me a second. Oh yeah, so with my coding students now, especially those who live with me, I'm trying to find a makerspace for them in the area, because I genuinely think makerspaces are the coolest things you can have as a kid. So that's not something big. I also think maybe a library could have a makerspace and extension, or it could just be something cool. I might just write a big letter or do a presentation to the governor of Maryland, something like that, to try and encourage the building of makerspaces. Or yeah. And then in July, I also want to do an internship. So I think I've already said this before, but I want to do an internship with a startup company. I want to be in tech. However, it could be, it doesn't have to be necessarily a tech company. I just want my internship to involve using new technology, specifically coding, because I actually want to test my coding skills in an actual in a work environment. So yeah, I want to be a startup so I can see how those are actually made. Cause I want to make my own startup, which you'll see in a second. But yeah, and then ending July is publishing the Let Me See demo. So Let Me See initially started as this. I was like, okay, how can I best tell my African story through a game, right? I was trying to combine my love for stories and coding, and I came up with Let Me See. However, as I continue to develop that and work with different people or talk to different people, I realized how cool and awesome the concept is and how awesome the game can be. Like the potential of this game is infinite, and it's really my job to see how much of that I can bring into the real world. So yeah, I'm really excited. It's gonna be something I'm working on more and more. But yeah, so I think that. Oh yeah, the last thing for July is working on bringing Falcon Speaks to a larger, um, not larger, bringing Falcon Speaks to college. Wherever I go, I really want to bring Falcon Speaks. Another thing beyond college, I want to try implementing it in more schools because I truly do believe it's a helpful program. It gives people their voice and it encourages research, not just research towards a specific topic like sorry, I'm trying to think of an example. Not just research towards something you learn in A push AP US history, but research on your own terms, something you're passionate about. So that's why I'm excited about it. But yeah, so that's kind of ending July, and then ending August is moving into my dorm, and then I have to figure out a parting gift for my family because I'm leaving the house. So yeah, it's really exciting, but that's like the next 4 months. My vision. There's a couple stuff I definitely forgot to add, but that's as I continue to go day by day, those stuff will be added into the idea. I definitely want to make this journal. I want to make the journal I wrote these stuff on digital so I can have it forever. But see, I forgot my thought. But yeah, I want to come up with a parting gift for my family. So yeah. And then in the future, like 10 years, 20 years from now, what do I want to have created? Real quick, I don't know how I'm going to talk about this, but one thing I'm doing now, oh yeah, sorry, let me go back. The real purpose with this thing, not the real purpose, but a great benefit I've seen with this thing is that in my life, when I've had failures, it's hard to look at the bigger picture because the bigger picture was so limited to cost. And this was something I actually really started in junior year because in sophomore year, freshman year, and any year before that, I was more of a bigger picture guy. I was like, okay, yeah, what do I want to have in 20 years from now? So in junior year, anytime I failed, it was like, oh, okay, this is going to affect where I go in college, or this is going to affect this. And that sucks because there's no real future in that, if that makes sense. So like when I failed, I couldn't say, okay, well, as long as I can continue to still work towards this that I want to do, like I want to create, then I really had nothing else. And that's what made failure so deep. However, something like this, not to say that failures aren't going to hurt, but it helps to have a bigger plan to look at your failure with it. So let's say I fail an interview now. I can still look at this and it's like, okay, I can still work towards this goal, right? I can still work towards building this. And I think that's a great part of having this future vision I'm working towards, or life I'm working towards. Now, going on to the next thing, I couldn't really plan where to input in this video. One thing I'm working on doing daily now is just like doing lead code practice. So originally I was trying to work on my Java, but I set up my lead code account, I believe yesterday. I had an old one, but I never used it. So I set up my lead code account yesterday. I started doing some practices, and then I just ended up doing like SQL, and it was pretty easy, honestly. I do think that might help in doing filler episodes where I just upload my daily lead code practice of the day. But yeah, I think that's gonna be a cool routine to have, just like at least one lead code practice a day. I'm trying to find one for Java because that's the language I'm trying to still refresh on. Because the thing about coding languages is like real life language, like linguistic languages, I guess. If you don't practice them, you're basically gonna lose the skill to like understand it. So you always have to refresh them. Okay. Looking 10 years into the future, 20 years into the future, stuff I want to have created is a guild. And it's more of a childish idea, dream of mine. Probably ever since I watched or read the manga Fairy Tail. Reading the manga sounds cool, but I actually just watched the anime. And the idea is, it's not necessarily like a group or a frat or something like that. It's meant to be this. Okay, it's a group, but it's meant to be this group of people from all different backgrounds with different goals. It's not like it's not just people from tech or people from theater or people from filmmaking or whatever. It's just people. Yeah, it's just like this group of friends, and they keep on expanding, and then through that they can collaborate with each other and work on with each other on different projects, and you just grow as a community. And the idea is to actually kind of start this slow, like just ask maybe like someone you meet, someone I become really close with to start this thing with me. Then maybe 15 years is some international thing that grows steadily. I don't want to expand too quickly because I feel like that's how stuff fall. But yeah, I also don't want it to be too big because I feel like that's another downfall of a lot of empires. But yeah, I also want to start my own software engineering company, and then the problem with this one, like this is where I had to stumble. One saying that I didn't know what the company was necessarily going to be targeted towards. I think the reason I'm fine with that is because when I do start it up, I wanted to address a need, right? I don't want to just like, I do feel like now, and this is deviating from what I was actually talking about, I feel like a lot of stuff I'm seeing now are trying to create a need for something that doesn't really have a need, right? So it's like, it doesn't really serve a purpose, right? I'm not gonna say what I think it is, 'cause I feel like that's mean. But yeah, okay, back to the thing. Eventually though, from the software engineering company, I want to start my own conglomerate. I feel like I'm saying the word wrong, but think of Apple, how you have the Apple corporation. So you have like Apple Studios or Apple TV, which has their own shows, or you have the tech company which has the iPads, their Macs, or their own. Sorry, give me a second. Their own operating system, all those stuff. I want to build a corporation like that one day, and it's weird saying that because they're getting they're getting sued for a couple of stuff for that reason because they have a monopoly over their own app market, Apple Store, whatever. But I want to do that because I think there's a lot of areas I want to explore, and I think that's the way to go, right? I do want to try and help as many people as I can. For instance, with my own conglomerate, I still feel like I'm saying the word wrong. With the media section of that corporation, I want to try and work with like indie artists, right? Indie filmmakers, and try and tell stories that wouldn't really get led by bigger corporations. I think that'll be really fun, especially now as you're seeing a lot of really good stories, especially animated ones, being cancelled so early on. But yeah, moving on. Okay, where am I? I definitely want to change the African education system, and more so the African diaspora. I think a large part of the future really lies in education, right? No matter how you look at it. So that's something I'm working on changing. What else do I have here? And then I want to retire my family, especially my mom and dad. This one's more of a childish dream, and it may be considered unethical, but I want to try and figure out an ethical way to do it, just for to help a kid's dream become true. It's become a trillionaire, which is crazy in itself. But I really think it'll be cool. A childish part of me wants to say like become the first trillionaire, and it's like I still don't know how yet. And the only ways I see towards those goals are unethical, but I don't think it's impossible to do in an ethical way. But yeah, and then this is more so if I see it as necessary. I want to become president of the United States of America, and that's something I think that's going to be a really fun part of my life. But I only want to do it if there's a necessary change, or I have to use becoming president to achieve a certain goal for a greater purpose, right? But I don't want to do it just for funsies or like for ego. Because I think there's definitely other ways to help out the world, and you don't have to do it to be president. So only if it's necessary, I want to become president of the United States of America. But yeah, I already touched this, but I want the Guild to be an international thing. Uh, Revolutionize Africa for better and just the world in general. And then, yeah, help as many people as I can. I think I want someone one day, maybe 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, to come back to this project and say, yo, it's possible. And then they start their own journey. Or they continue their own journey with that in mind. So that's my vision for the future I want to work towards. There's probably some stuff I left out that'll be added as I continue towards this journey, but that's a rough man's draft or a poor man's draft, however I want to phrase it. But yeah, my vision, no, the life I'm working towards. Have a great day.